Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a beautiful and warm-hearted girl. One day, when her mother passed away, her father remarried another woman. This evil-hearted stepmother had two daughters just as evil as herself. Her stepmother and stepsisters treated her very badly.
You cannot sit with us on the same table.
You cannot sit with us.
Oops! The glass fell down. Hurry and clean it up, Cinderella.
While they were out and having fun, she had to stay home and do all the dirty housework. Everybody at home used to call her Cinderella. When she got tired, she sat down in front of the fireplace, placed her cat on her lap, and tried to warm up with the dying fire. One fine morning, they received an invitation from the palace.
A big ball is going to be held at the palace in honor of the prince, and all the girls eligible for marriage are invited.
While the stepmother was preparing her daughters for the ball, Cinderella was unwillingly helping them.
You have to be the most beautiful girls in the ball. The prince must like you.
Why can't I come? All the girls eligible for marriage are invited.
Really? Is this the outfit you're going to wear to the ball?
When the day for the ball had arrived, all alone at home, Cinderella couldn't help her tears and started crying. Right at that moment, a bright light appeared in the chimney. Through the bright light appeared a beautiful fairy. Cinderella could not believe her eyes because this fairy was her mother. Mother! Hello, my darling. I came to help you. You too will go to the ball at the palace. Really? But how? With my little help. Now you go get me the biggest pumpkin from the garden. And you, Kitty Cat, hurry up and fetch me 7 mice. With one magic touch, the fairy transformed the pumpkin into a beautiful horse carriage. She then turned her magic wand to the mice. One of the mice became the driver, and the other 6 turned into beautiful white horses. Now it's your turn. I look like a princess. But Mother, I do not know how to dance. What if the prince asks me to? With these magic shoes, you will be the best dancing girl at the ball. You must have a dance with the prince. Oh, but don't forget, my dear, the magic will be gone by exactly midnight. Therefore, you have to leave the ball before the clock hits 12. Thank you very much, Mother. I will come before midnight, I promise. Mother, will I be able to see you again? I'm always by your side. When Cinderella entered the palace with her elegance and beauty, suddenly all the heads turned towards her. Even her stepsisters could not recognize her, and of course, the handsome prince was mesmerized by her beauty. The king and the queen also were very fond of Cinderella.
Now that's what I call a princess.
Prince immediately asked Cinderella to dance. Cinderella was floating on the dance floor thanks to her magic shoes. The stepmother and her daughters were speechless by her beauty and full of rage with their jealousy. Cinderella was so happy, she could not feel how fast time had passed and completely forgot her promise to her mother. Suddenly, the clock on the wall caught her eye. It was almost midnight. Leaving the prince standing there, she ran down the ballroom stairs, and right when she was running, one of her magic shoes slipped off her foot. But there was not enough time to turn around and pick her shoe up. running after Cinderella, the prince found her shoe lying on the stairs.
Find the owner of this shoe as soon as possible. If necessary, travel the whole country, but find her.
The men traveled around the country, knocked on every door and allowed every young girl to try the shoe on. But the shoe did not fit anyone. Until finally, they arrived to Cinderella's house. Both the stepsisters tried the shoe on.
If you push a little further, it will fit. Yes, my daughter's feet are a little swollen because she's very tired.
But the shoe did not fit either of them. The men said that their captain had seen another girl inside the house.
There's another young lady in the house.
As soon as Cinderella put on the shoe, the men knew that it belonged to her because the shoe fit her foot just perfectly.
You have to come to the palace with us, young lady. Our prince awaits for you.
The prince's men took Cinderella to the palace. When the prince saw Cinderella, he immediately recognized her and was very happy to see her. He went down on his knees and asked her to marry him.
Will you marry me, my princess?
Immediately and with great pleasure, Cinderella accepted the prince's proposal. And they lived happily ever after. But so how did it happen that my shoe didn't lose its magic? I'm always by your side. Of course. Oh, Mother, it was you all that time.
In the ocean, there was a big world in the far depth that nobody knew about. Giant whales, happiest dolphins, animals of all colours of the rainbow. Further deep where not even the slightest light could reach, in the deep-sea kingdom, the sea people lived in peace with all the other deep-sea creatures. The king of the seas lived in the deep-sea castle with his mother and 6 daughters and ruled the seas. The king of the seas loved his daughters very much. His biggest fear was that one day they would be harmed by the humans living above the sea. That's why it was forbidden for the daughters to swim above the sea before they were allowed.
The humans living above the sea on the land are evil.
Why are the humans evil, Daddy? Asked the Little Mermaid.
Because humans pollute the seas and kill all the life that's in it.
The Little Mermaid was very curious about the life on land, especially the humans. The stories told about them by her sisters were not enough. Her grandmother warned her about the humans all the time. But she could only go out of the sea gate when she earned her crown and grew as old as her sisters. The Little Mermaid gazed after her sisters. As they swam away, she made a plan to go out of the deep-sea gate. She took her friend the dolphin with her and went to see Himram the whale, because Himram could go out of the deep-sea gate whenever he pleased. She told about her plan to Himram. Himram did not agree with her at first because he too was very afraid of the king. But then he really felt sorry for her and decided to help. The big blue whale and the dolphin made it to the gate of the kingdom. Seeing Himram, the guards immediately opened the gates. The giant whale and his friends, dolphin, went through the gates easily. After they were out of sight, Himram the whale opened his giant mouth and released the Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid swam above the sea with the help of Himram. She felt the breeze and saw the blue skies for the first time in her life. Marvelous! Right at that moment, she heard some music. When trying to find out where it was coming from, she noticed a ship a little further out from her. It was her first time seeing a ship. This is a ship, right? Let's go! Her friend the dolphin warned her not to go, but she was already out of sight. She moved as fast as she could towards the ship. The ship belonged to the king. The king was having a birthday party for his son. He wanted his son to get married as soon as possible. That's why all the candidate princesses were invited to the party. He's a prince,
But he's a human.
warned the dolphin. The Little Mermaid, with her beautiful voice, accompanied the melody Prince was playing with his flute. The prince heard her lovely voice and started to look around,
Be careful, Little Mermaid. They will see you.
warned the dolphin. The Little Mermaid jumped back into the water and disappeared. At that moment, back in the deep-sea kingdom, the Witch of the Seas was watching all that was happening from her crystal ball. That day has finally come. The daughter of the King of the Seas and a human. Let the storms roar, the wind blow, and the thunder strike all over. With the witch's curse, giant waves appeared from nowhere, and not able to fight them back, the prince's ship started to drift towards the rocks. The Little Mermaid was very worried when she saw the drifting ship in the storm. The ship is going to fall apart and sink. We have to help them. The Little Mermaid dove in the water right after the ship. Swimming through the shipwreck, she first found the flute the prince was playing. She then spotted the prince, unconsciously going slowly into the deep waters. She immediately pulled him out of the water and carried him to shore. Wake up! Please wake up! The prince slowly regained his consciousness and opened his eyes. You're alive, said the Little Mermaid with joy. Hearing dogs barking from a distance, she suddenly realized where she was and jumped back into the water, leaving the prince behind. One of the prince's men and the prince's candidates came next to him.
A girl saved me from drowning. Her voice feels familiar. I heard it before. It was the most beautiful voice.
The Little Mermaid swam back to the deep-sea kingdom. The prince's flute was still in her hand. She could not stop thinking about him. Right at that moment, the King of the Seas came in
And saw the flute in the Little Mermaid's hand.
He immediately realized that it was human-made.
We have rules, and I expect everyone to obey them, especially my children. Is it true that you have saved a human from drowning?
I had to. If I didn't, he was going to die,
Answered back the Little Mermaid.
Enough! Humans bring evil. The relations between the sea world and the human world is strictly forbidden.
With a big rage of anger, the King of the Seas stormed out the door. But the Little Mermaid still had no intentions to give up. She went next to Naga, the Witch of the Seas, and asked for help. Naga agreed to help, but in return she wanted something back. Something very valuable. I will prepare a mixture that will turn you into a human. You'll be able to walk and dance on your 2 feet. And in return, I will have your beautiful voice. My voice? But without my voice? Having no other choice, the Little Mermaid agreed to the witch's terms, because she really was ready to do anything to see the prince again. Do not forget, At the end of the third day with the fourth sunrise, the prince must fall in love with you. Otherwise, you will return to being a mermaid. And forget the prince forever. With that last warning, the Little Mermaid drank the potion. She started to swim to the surface, but as she swam, her tail started to fade and was replaced with 2 legs. With the help of the dolphin, the Little Mermaid made it to shore. Looking from his castle to the shipwreck, the prince noticed the red-headed beauty and ran right next to her.
You, have we met before? Yes, we have.
The Little Mermaid could not talk, but she handed the flute to the prince. The prince played the tune again he had played on the ship once again. She nodded her head to tell him that she recognizes the tune from before.
I saw you when I was playing this tune on the deck. I heard your voice, and then you saved me from drowning. I've been looking for you.
The prince was sure that it was the Little Mermaid who saved him, but the girl he remembered was a mermaid and had a beautiful voice. She tried to talk, but she did not have a voice.
I thought you were a mermaid.
Suddenly, the prince started to think that this girl is actually not the one who had saved him, but he still felt sorry for her and decided to help. The prince took the Little Mermaid to his castle. The king ordered for the wedding preparations to start. He was going to wed the prince to one of the candidates on the ship. While the preparations were on the go, the Little Mermaid could only watch, but not do anything. There was no way she could convince the prince without her voice. She remembered the witch's words. Do not forget, at the end of the third day with the fourth sunrise, the prince must fall in love with you. Otherwise, you will return to be a mermaid and forget the prince forever. The first 2 days went by fast, and finally it was the third day. On this last day, the king and the queen were going to wed their son, the prince with the princess of the neighboring kingdom. Poor Little Mermaid. She could not explain to the prince that indeed she was the mermaid he was looking for, and the prince started to believe that all he saw was nothing but a dream. Her only hope was her great love for him. On the fourth day, the sun was about to rise. The Little Mermaid was crying with sad tears, but suddenly something unexpected happened. First, her sisters came ashore, and then her grandma followed.
They were there to help her.
My dear grandchild, we are here to undo the witch Naga's curse. The Little Mermaid was very happy, but she did not understand how they could help her. And lastly, her father, the king of the seas, came out of the water. His heart could not bear the sadness of his daughter. He also realized that nothing could stand before true love.
Oh, my dear daughter, all I want in this world is your happiness. Go to him.
The king of the seas directed his wand to the seashell in grandmother's hands,
In which the Little Mermaid's voice was kept hidden, and her voice came out of the shell. And the Little Mermaid's
voice came out of the shell.
My voice! Thank you, grandmother. Thank you, daddy. I love you all so very much.
With Himram the whale's help, they swam to the prince's ship as fast as they could. As the prince and the princess were approaching the altar to say their vows, the prince suddenly stopped. He could hear the Little Mermaid's beautiful voice. When he saw the Little Mermaid coming towards him on a whale, without any hesitation, he jumped in the sea.
I knew it was you.
With her family and friends' help, the Little Mermaid finally was reunited with her voice and the prince. But she was no longer a mermaid. she was going to continue her life as a human. The Little Mermaid and the Prince lived happily ever after, spreading love, peace, friendship on both land and at sea. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful castle in a land far, far away. In this magnificent castle, there lived the most beautiful queen. The queen only had one wish to be happy, and that was to have a beautiful baby girl. A cold winter day, when the queen was sewing next to the window, she suddenly poked herself with a needle. She immediately wiped the blood off with a piece of cotton, and right at that moment, she made a wish. I wish to have a baby girl whose skin is as white as snow, whose eyes are brighter than the shiniest jewel, and has cherry red lips, and a heart full of joy and happiness. And one day, the wish of the good-hearted queen came true. She had a beautiful baby girl. They named this beautiful girl Snow White. The years went by quickly, but their happiness did not last long. The good-hearted queen had become ill and soon after passed away. After a while, the king aged and had become extremely weak, so he remarried another woman. The new queen was beautiful, all right, but she had an evil heart. She was an arrogant and jealous woman. Every day, the queen would look into her magic mirror and ask this question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the magic mirror would answer back.
No one, Your Highness. You are the most beautiful one.
And the queen would be very happy with the answer. With the arrival of the evil queen, everything in the castle started to change. Because of her evil doings, the kingdom faced many, many troubles. So to fix the troubles, the king had to go away from the castle. The evil queen was very happy because now that the queen had gone away, she could do as she pleased. The years went by fast, and Snow White grew up to be a beautiful young girl. In a place not too far away, a prince suddenly saw the reflection of Snow White on the river from which he was drinking some water. He immediately looked around, but could not see anyone else other than the birds upon his head. One day, the queen was in front of her magic mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror answered.
Well, sorry, but not you, my dear queen. Snow White is the most beautiful one.
The queen was furious when she heard the magic mirror's answer. She immediately called in her favorite hunter and gave a horrible order. You will take Snow White into the woods and bring me her heart. The soldiers took Snow White next to the queen. Welcome, Snow White. Thought that you might have been bored in the castle. Go get some fresh air in the woods. Don't worry, my most trusted hunter will keep you safe. The hunter took Snow White deep into the woods. He had to do what he was told by the queen. But seeing Snow White's pure heart, full of goodness, the hunter could not do her any harm. He warned her not to go back to the castle ever again. And at sunset, he left her in the woods and head back to the castle. Snow White was very afraid in the dark woods all alone. She sat under a tree and started crying. Until, at last, she fell asleep. In the morning, Snow White woke up with birds chirping, and many tiny animal friends surrounded her. Because these animals knew who she was and loved their princess, they they showed the way to Snow White. They brought her to their home, which was cute and as tiny as them. A little hesitant, Snow White opened the door. Everything inside the house was very small and extremely messy. Snow White could not figure out whom this house belonged to, but she did not have anywhere else to go, so she decided to tidy up. After she cleaned up the house and made it nice and spotless, Snow White cooked with the small kitchen utensils and had something to eat. In this small house, just like everything else, the beds were also tiny. But Snow White was so tired, she almost fell asleep right where she was. She thought that no harm would come to her in this place and fell asleep on a couple of beds she put together. In the evening, the Seven Dwarfs, who were the lovely owners of this beautiful home, had arrived from working in the mine. And as they entered, they were really surprised.
The house was clean, plus it smelled of delicious food. Clumsy wanted some soup, but because of his clumsiness, he spilled it on the floor. Ace was trying to figure out what was going on.
There is something fishy about all this. Who did all this work? If I can get sleep, I'm sure I can find all the answers,
said Lazy, yawning. The Seven Dwarfs quietly all went upstairs. When they entered the bedroom, they couldn't believe their eyes. There was the most beautiful girl they had ever seen lying on their tiny beds. Hearing the sounds, Snow White jumped up frightened from her sleep as she saw the 14 eyes of the Seven Dwarfs staring at her. Finally, with some hesitation, she said, "My name is Snow White. I'm really sorry if I have offended you. I meant no harm."
Well, we are sure of that. Otherwise, why would you clean up and cook for us?
Answered Ace, and introduced them.
We are the Seven Dwarfs. This is Jolly,
Angry,
Clumsy, Slumpy, Red. And me, Ace. And there he is, Lazy. Shh.
Snow White was so happy that now she had 7 more fun friends. Snow White told them all about what had happened. The Seven Dwarfs were really sad to hear what had happened. They asked her to stay with them. Agreeing to stay with them, Snow White always helped them out. They all started to have happy and peaceful times together, but their happiness wasn't going to last long. One day, the Queen asked the same question to her magic mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror's answer was the same.
well, I'm sorry, but not you, my dear Queen. Snow White is the fairest of them all.
But the Queen thought that she was already dead. She did not know that the heart the hunter had brought her actually belonged to a deer, and decided to finish the job herself, and for good this time. It was another joyous morning in the Seven Dwarfs' house. Snow White was sending the dwarfs to work with a kiss on their cheek. Ace repeated his warnings as always.
Do not forget our rule. If any stranger comes knocking on the door when we are not home, do not answer it.
Okie dokie, Ace.
But you guys, don't be late, okay? While Snow White was preparing dinner, there was a knock on the door. She did not expect the dwarfs to come back home at this hour.
Who is it? Ace? Is it you guys?
From outside, an old woman spoke.
I mean no harm, my little girl. Open up, please.
Looking through the peephole, Snow White saw the poor old woman outside and thought she could mean no harm to her, so she opened the door.
Oh, my dear beautiful girl. I am a poor old woman passing by. If you could give me a bowl of soup, I will be forever grateful.
Snow White took the old lady in and offered her a bowl of hot soup.
Thank you, my dear. I have no money, but I have the most delicious and brightest red apple for you. Even one bite will taste like heaven.
Snow White curiously took a bite from the apple. And as soon as she did, she fainted and fell down on the floor. The old lady was no other than the disguised evil queen. And the apple was far from heaven, but full of poison. Even one bite was enough to put Snow White to a sleep, from which she could never be able to wake up. When the seven dwarfs returned home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. Ace found the apple with the bite mark.
The apple she ate must be poisonous. This must be the queen's doing.
Snow White was so beautiful even asleep. The dwarfs put her in a glass box made of the most precious gems, and they put her on a hilltop where all her friends in the woods could see. One day, the prince came to the woods where Snow White was sleeping. Snow White's friends showed him the way and brought him next to the glass box where she was sleeping. The prince could not believe his eyes. The beautiful princess he once saw as a reflection on the river and kept seeing in his dreams was lying right in front of him. He lifted up the cover of the box and kissed Snow White. Right at that moment, Snow White's and the prince's dreams came true. Their love overcame the curse, and Snow White opened her eyes. At that same time, finding out about all that had happened to his daughter, the king broke the magic mirror and sent the queen as far away from the castle as possible. Snow White finally returned to her castle and reunited with her father. Snow White and the prince had a magical wedding. The king, Snow White, the prince, and the seven dwarfs, they all lived happily ever after.